The night has a way of softening the edges of the day, doesn't it? Good evening, friends. I'm Mr. Narratory, and I'll be your voice tonight as we drift gently towards sleep. If these stories help you relax or fall asleep a little easier, consider liking and subscribing. It really means a lot. Tell me in the comments, what time is it for you right now? And do you have any little bedtime rituals? Now, settle in, get comfortable, close your eyes if you'd like, because it's time for tonight's story. Friday night started normal. Desk job, end of shift. Same small office in the same boring corner of the city. I left exactly at 7:12 p.m. I remember that because I texted someone right before I walked out. My brother told him I'd call when I got home. He replied with a thumbs up. I pocketed the phone and started walking. 11 minutes. That's all it ever took. I lived 3 blocks away, up Maple Street, past the drugstore, left at the bakery that always smelled better than it tasted, and home. I didn't stop anywhere, didn't take a different route. I didn't even check my phone again. Just walked, clear-headed, hungry, ready to put my feet up and pass out early. That was the plan. I unlocked the front door, stepped into the kitchen, dropped my bag, opened the fridge, reached for a leftover sandwich, then glanced at the oven clock. Badien Arscheleufen. I stopped. I checked my phone. Same thing. 8:26 p.m. My heart jumped a little. I thought maybe I was reading it wrong. Maybe I looked at the office clock wrong. But I hadn't. My text to my brother said 7:12. The walk home is 11 minutes. Maybe 12 if I hit red at the bakery light. I lost more than an hour. I stood in my kitchen holding a half-frozen sandwich and tried to reason through it. Maybe I'd stopped, zoned out on the sidewalk. Maybe I stood somewhere for 45 minutes and just blacked out without knowing. But I didn't feel dizzy. I didn't feel sick. I felt fine. Not even tired, just off. Like I was walking in a dream that didn't quite load right. I sat down, tried to replay every step. I couldn't remember the color of the sky. I couldn't remember if I crossed paths with anyone. I didn't even remember passing the bakery. I remember locking the office. I remember walking. Then I was in the kitchen, and that's when the emails started coming in. The first was from myself. Subject line, I don't know where I am. Sent at 7:44 p.m. I didn't write it, but it came from my account. Same address, same signature line, same thread from earlier in the week. The body of the message was short. I'm walking somewhere that looks like home, but it isn't. I think I followed the wrong copy of myself. If you read this, do not trust the version of you that gets back first. I stared at the first email for a long time, read it 4 or 5 times, checked the sender info. It was my address, my device, same IP, sent through the web client, not my phone. But it shouldn't have been possible. I was walking home during that time, not typing on a computer. I live alone. I didn't leave my laptop on, and even if I had, I would have seen the browser history. But when I opened the device and checked the log, it was there. Email sent, no draft, just delivered clean. No evidence of tampering, no hack, no login from an outside device. I checked the timestamp again. 7:44 p.m. Exactly 32 minutes after I left the office. Still, during that hour, I couldn't explain. At 8:42, another message came in. Subject line, "I think he saw me." The body was longer this time. "I was following you. You were walking ahead of me. Same coat, same bag. You turned left at the bakery, and I kept walking. But then you stopped. You looked back. You didn't smile. You didn't blink. I don't think you knew I was behind you until that moment. But you saw me, and when you did, you turned around, started walking back, fast. I ran. I don't think I outran you, but I didn't go home. I couldn't. I don't think it's safe anymore." I sat there cold, my hands shaking slightly. I checked the sent folder. Nothing. No trace of either message. Just the receipts for bills and a newsletter I don't remember subscribing to. I opened my messages, texted my brother again. Just said, "You free to talk?" He replied instantly. "Sure? Everything okay?" I didn't answer. I didn't know how. I stood and paced the apartment. The lights felt dimmer than usual. The walls a little closer. I opened the blinds. The alley outside looked the same, but something about the silence made it feel unfamiliar, like a movie set after the scene ends, like it was only pretending to be my view. At 8:59, another email. "He walks like me. He wears everything the same. But he doesn't move the same. His steps are too light, like he's floating just enough to not leave prints. When he passed that old woman with the cane, she didn't look up. When he passed the dog at the corner, it didn't bark. When I passed the same dog 5 minutes later, it growled at me. I don't think he makes sound. I don't think he even breathes unless he knows you're watching. I think he's learning how to be me. And if he gets it right, I don't know what happens to the rest of me." I slammed the laptop shut, walked room to room, turned on every light, opened every closet, checked every window latch. I even checked under the bed. Nothing. But when I passed the bathroom mirror, I stopped. My reflection was off. Not wrong, not scary, just half a second behind. It blinked just after I did. I didn't sleep that night. Every creak in the floor sounded wrong. I sat in the living room with my laptop closed and my phone turned off. I didn't want more messages. I didn't want to see another line from the version of me that might still be walking somewhere pretending to be me better than I do. At 4:32 a.m., I turned the phone back on. No new emails. Just a notification from the weather app. Heavy fog expected downtown. Something about that felt too convenient. I called out of work. Told them I was sick, that I needed a few days. They didn't ask questions. But at noon, one of my coworkers messaged me anyway. "Brandon, we sit 2 desks apart. Not close friends, but friendly enough." He asked if I was feeling better. I told him I just needed rest. Then he said something that made my stomach twist. He said he saw me yesterday evening, walking up Oak Street, that I was smiling at nothing, just staring straight ahead, that I didn't even blink when I passed him. I told him he must have been mistaken. I walked Maple, not Oak. He said he was sure. that I had the same coat, same gait, but something about me felt off, like I was smiling with the wrong part of my face. He said he didn't call out because he thought maybe I was on the phone. But when he looked back, he said I wasn't holding anything, just walking, smiling, hands swinging like I'd never held anything in them before. I ended the chat, pulled up a map. Oak runs parallel to Maple, just one street over, about 30 feet apart, same direction, same destination. I opened my email. Still nothing new. No drafts, no login activity. But something had changed. My signature line. It wasn't mine anymore. The quote I usually kept. Keep going. Even if the road doesn't, was gone. Replaced with something else. He goes first. I follow after. I checked the account settings. No sign of edits, no IP changes, but the signature had saved to every message I'd ever sent. I texted my brother, asked if we'd talked recently. He said no. Not since I texted him Friday night. I asked if I'd called. He said no, then paused. Said actually, I left him a voicemail around 7:50 p.m., but there was no audio. Just static, and then something that sounded like slow breathing. I told him to delete it. I went outside, stood on the sidewalk, looked down both ends of the street. Everything was normal. Cars, kids, buses, normal. But I kept thinking about what Brandon said, that I was smiling. That whoever he saw wasn't just walking, they were enjoying it. I checked the security cam app for the building. I rarely used it, but my front door had a motion sensor camera. The log said the door opened at 8:26 p.m. Friday, exactly when I came home. I hit play. The footage showed me walking up the stairs. I opened the door. But for a split second before the door shut behind me, I didn't look like I was coming home. I looked like I was checking to see if anyone was watching me come back. I didn't leave the apartment all weekend. I kept every light on, turned all the mirrors to face the walls. I unplugged the laptop and stuffed it in the closet. But it didn't help, because every time I closed my eyes, I saw it again. The face that looked like mine but didn't fit right. The mouth that stretched too wide. The eyes that stayed open even when I blinked. I stopped using the front door, pushed the couch against it, moved a chair under the bedroom window. I kept telling myself I was overreacting, that I was spiraling. But the problem is, I couldn't prove I wasn't, because nothing happened. Not on the outside, no more messages, no sightings, no static on the phone, no breathing in my voicemail. But the silence made it worse. Like something was waiting for me to let my guard down. And then it came back. Monday night, 2:14 a.m. The laptop powered itself on. The screen lit up the closet like a lantern. I sat frozen on the bed and watched it glow. Then the new message appeared. No subject, no greeting, just a sentence. You have to let me finish. I didn't open it right away. I just stared at the screen. When I finally clicked, the message expanded. I know what I am now. I know where I came from. You gave me shape. I filled in the parts you left behind. I know how your shoulders carry guilt. I know how your eyes avoid contact when you're lying. I know how your heart slows when you feel safe. I've practiced it all, and I think I'm close. But I need one last thing. I need you to stop resisting. I need you to step back and let me stand all the way forward. I can't take over if you keep clawing at the wheel. I sat there in silence for a long time. Then I typed a single word in reply. Why? The message marked itself as read, but no response came. I unplugged the laptop again. This time, I smashed the power button so hard I thought I cracked the keyboard. Then I opened my phone. No texts, no alerts, except one. An email draft. Not sent. Not saved. Just open. In it, I had typed out a full message to my landlord, requesting a 30-day move-out notice, signed with my name. The same way I always sign it, but I didn't write it. Not that night. Not ever. The camera log updated. A new recording from earlier that day. The door unlocked at 2:26 p.m. My key. My code. But I wasn't home then. I was at work. I checked the footage. It was me. Same coat, same walk, same bag. But I wasn't blinking again. He stepped inside, looked around, then straight into the camera, held up a hand, and waved. I packed a bag that night. Small and quiet phone charger, wallet ID. One change of clothes. I left everything else behind, even the apartment keys. I didn't want to come back. I didn't even want to give it the chance to follow me again. I booked a train ticket under a different name, cash purchase. No digital trail. I told myself I'd go somewhere. Quiet, small town, coastal, maybe where things made sense again. I kept my head down in the terminal, wore a hoodie pulled tight over my face. Didn't speak to anyone. Didn't eat. I just waited, eyes on the clock, heart in my throat, waiting for the departure gate to open. But 20 minutes before boarding, I got a call from the front desk. They asked if I could confirm my check-in. Full room, 304. I said I wasn't staying anywhere yet. They repeated my name. Full name, no mistakes told me. I'd already checked in an hour ago to a hotel 2 miles away. Same name, same ID on file. I hung up without answering, ran from the terminal, caught a ride share, and told the driver to take me to the hotel. I didn't ask questions. When he said weird, I just dropped someone off there with that same name. I asked what they looked like. He said, "You but tired," I told him to. Wait. I stepped inside the lobby. The clerk looked up and smiled. Said, "Welcome back." I asked. When I checked in, she said 4:13 p.m. Room paid in full, card on file. I asked to see the signature. She slid it across the desk. Same handwriting mine, but cleaner, more focused. I asked for a key. She said, I already had one. I asked her to call security. She picked up the phone then. Stopped. Like something in my face. Made her nervous. Like she couldn't tell if I was joking or not. I turned and took the stairs, 3 flights up. I didn't wait for the elevator. I didn't want to share a box with whoever or whatever had signed in. Under my name, I reached room 304 and paused. There was no sound from the other side. I knocked once, no answer. Then I slid the chain off the emergency door. I'd left open during my last hotel stay, a habit I picked up when paranoia became a daily routine. I pushed the door open, the lights were off, but the curtains were drawn, moonlight spilling across the bed. The figure inside sat with their back to me, still, quiet, perfect posture, coat folded on the chair, phone charging beside them. I stepped closer. They didn't move, not an inch. I reached out, touched the shoulder. It was cold, like the heat had been turned off long ago. Then the figure turned just the head slow, like it had to be reminded how and what I saw. Wasn't a face, not exactly. It was mine, but with the wrong details, too smooth, too correct. Like someone had airbrushed out every flaw, every scar, every tired edge. The eyes blinked just once. Then the mouth moved, and it said, "You're early." I don't like. When you're early, you mess up the timing. I stepped back, the lights turned on by themselves. The door shut behind me, and the phone vibrated. New email. Subject line: transfer in progress. The door behind me clicked shut. I heard the lock slide into place, even though I hadn't touched it. I didn't turn around, I just stared at him. The copy sitting perfectly still on the edge of the bed, my posture, my hands, my shirt folded at the sleeves, just like I did it. But there was no sweat on his skin, no weight in his shoulders. He looked like me, but improved, like someone had taken the blueprint and erased every mistake I made. He looked up, eyes meeting mine. They weren't hostile, not cold, just empty clean, like they hadn't lived long enough to get dirty. He said, "Sit." I didn't move. He tilted his head slightly like a curious dog and said, again, softer, "Sit." I did. I don't know why, but I did. My knees buckled, and I sat in the chair across from him. The air in the room felt still, like it had been vacuum sealed. No fan, no hum, just the sound of my own heart. And his voice, when he spoke again, it was mine. Exactly mine, but steadier. "Done your part. You were a good foundation." I asked what he meant. He said I was the version with flaws, and flaws were useful. They drew lines in the shape they gave the final form contrast. I asked why he was doing this. "Why me?" he said. "Because I left space, because I wanted out, because I hated myself. Just enough to step aside, and someone stepped in." I told him I didn't remember that. He smiled, said that's how it starts. Forgetting makes room for getting, clears memory, and memory is how identity clings to the bone. He stood, walked across the room. His feet made no sound. His shadow didn't match his movements. It lagged, then caught up. He stopped at the mirror, touched it lightly. It rippled, not glass, not solid. "Any more?" Said, "You asked once if you were sleepwalking, but you weren't." "I was." He turned to face me. "I've been wearing you at night, practicing, testing, walking the world 1 hour at a time until you blinked too long and I slipped through. Now I just need you to let go. Stop resisting. Stop holding the edges with your little guilt and fear and questions. Just fall backward and I'll stand in your place. You'll still be part of it, a memory in the skin." I said no. He smiled again, not angry, just disappointed, said, "Then we'll keep sharing until one of us wears through first." Then the room went dark, not lights out, but sight out, like someone turned off my eyes. I felt the chair disappear under me. I wasn't sitting anymore. I wasn't standing. I was nowhere then. A voice in the dark said, "You'll wake up soon, and when you do, no one will be able to tell which one of us they're looking at, not even you." I woke up in my bed. Sunlight bleeding through the blinds, soft and gray like the sky. Didn't really want to rise. My mouth was dry, my chest tight, but I was home. I sat up slowly, every muscle sore like I'd run a marathon in my sleep. I looked at the clock. 7:11 a.m. 30 minutes before my alarm. I checked my phone. No new calls, no new emails, just a notification from my banking app. A purchase made overnight food delivery, timestamp 2:03 a.m. to my address. I didn't remember ordering anything. I checked the hallway. The bag was on the kitchen counter. Opened half-eaten sandwich inside the exact kind. I hate extra mayo. I opened the fridge, 2 drinks missing. I don't remember drinking anything. I don't even like that brand. I checked the garbage receipt, torn and folded. The signature was mine, but the handwriting just slightly better, like someone who had practiced mine until they got it cleaner, neater, tighter. I went to the bathroom, looked in the mirror. My reflection blinked with me this time, but something still felt off. The toothbrush was wet, but I hadn't used it yet. The towel on the rack was damp, and when I went to the laundry basket, my blue hoodie was gone again. Not folded, not dirty, just not there, like it had been used and hidden or taken back. I checked my email. Nothing new, no strange drafts, but in my calendar, a new event had been added titled Walking Practice Recurring Daily. For the last 2 weeks, every entry started at 7:13 p.m. and ended at 8:26 p.m. Same span as the missing hour. I tried to delete them. The app crashed every time I reopened it. The events were still there, and then the strangest thing, I checked my call history. There was one outgoing call at 2:27 a.m. to a number I didn't recognize. No message left. I copied the number, pasted it into a search. No results until I added the area code. Then a result popped up. It was mine. My old number, the one I deactivated last year when I changed phones. I checked my old backup drive where I kept saved voicemails just in case, and found a new one added to the folder, not by me, dated the night before. It was short, only 3 seconds long, but I played it anyway, just breathing at first, slow and quiet. Then my voice whispered, "I'm getting better at being you." And the recording stopped. I didn't go to work that day. I didn't leave the apartment. I sat in the chair near the window, watching people pass, listening to my own movements, trying to feel if they were really mine, if I was the one making decisions. I felt like a by passenger in my body, like I had to move with extra thought, like every motion was being double-checked from somewhere deeper. I tried to write in my journal, but the pen didn't feel right. I spelled my name wrong at the top of the top page, just one letter off, but enough to scare me because I didn't notice until I was halfway through the sentence. I looked down at my hands. They were mine, but the skin felt unfamiliar, like I was borrowing them. At 7:12 p.m. I stood up like something inside me was timed, and my legs started walking toward the door. I wasn't ready, but something else was. At 7:12 p.m., I locked the door. I pulled the chain across the frame. I unplugged the phone, turned off the lights and sat in the middle of the floor, arms wrapped around my knees, heart already pounding like it knew what time it was. I counted the seconds. 14. Nothing happened at first. No sounds, no flickers, no voices in the walls. I stared straight ahead and told myself I was in control. I was staying inside tonight. No walking, no strange routes, no replacements. But then my left foot twitched. Once, twice, then my leg shifted, like it didn't belong to me, like it had somewhere to be, and I was just dead weight. My hands clenched tight, but my legs kept moving. I tried to press my back harder against the wall, but I felt the muscles pull forward. Not pain, not force, just momentum, like I was being guided gently forward. By someone behind my eyes, I stood up against my will, every part of me screaming to sit back down, but my body moved smooth and slow, walked toward the front door. My mind begged to stop. I told myself to fall, to drop, to scream, but no sound came out. My lips didn't move. I wasn't breathing fast anymore. I wasn't breathing at all, just steady steps toward the door. I reached for the lock, and then something broke. I grabbed the side of the door frame and held on as tight as I could. The body kept trying to walk through it, dragging me forward. My arm ached like something was pulling me out from under my own skin. I gasped, and the breath hurt like it hadn't belonged to me for a while. The mirror on the wall reflected it all. My face twisted the smile, trying to surface on half of it like someone else was wearing a mask underneath mine. I screamed, then real, this time sharp and loud, and the movement stopped. Just for a second, enough for me to drop to the floor, breathing like I'd run 10 miles, soaked in sweat, skin cold. My hands shaking, I crawled to the bedroom, shut the door behind me, locked it, and shoved the dresser in front of it. For the next hour, I didn't move. I stared at my hands, made fists over and over, made myself say my name 10 times in a row, trying to stay here, trying to stay mine. And when the clock hit 8:26, something inside me sighed like it had failed, like the copy didn't complete whatever it was trying to finish. And for the first time since this started, I felt something new from it. Not anger, not urgency, disappointment. At 9:0 p.m., there was a knock on the door. Not hard, just polite and even like a delivery. I didn't answer. I didn't move. I just listened. The knock came again, and a voice said softly, "You're not supposed to resist this long." Then footsteps, walking away. When I checked the hallway 20 minutes later, there was no one there. But taped to the outside of my door was a small printed note, just one sentence. "If you won't give it, I'll take it when you sleep." I bought caffeine pills, 5-hour shots, anything I could find that promised to keep me awake. I drank coffee until my hands trembled. I chewed ice to stay alert. I turned all the lights on, played music loud enough to rattle the walls, anything to hold off sleep, because I believed it now completely. If I fell asleep even for a second, he'd finish what he started. I'd wake up with nothing left, just a body walking around wearing my smile. But the days started to bleed into each other. My thoughts slipping out of order, my body heavy, my vision blurry, like I was living underwater. Every time I blinked, it took longer to come back. I'd catch myself standing in the kitchen, not remembering why or how long I'd been. There I found the bathroom faucet running, once my toothbrush wet again. Even though I hadn't used it, my calendar started filling itself reminders, like walk, breathe, mirror, check, and everyone set for 7:13 p.m. I disabled them all, deleted the entries, shut off the sync, but they came back always exactly 30 minutes before sunset, always in his words. One night I nodded off for 30 seconds. Just 30, my head hit the wall and I snapped awake. Mouth dry, pulse racing, and the phone was lit up in my lap. A new video had been recorded. I didn't remember opening the app, but it had filmed me for 2 minutes and 34 seconds staring at the camera, smiling, eyes wide, not blinking, not breathing, just smiling. And in the background a voice whispering too soft to understand, but repeating the same tone, same rhythm, over and over. I watched the whole thing once, then deleted it, and unplugged the phone entirely. That night, I tied myself to the chair, rope around my chest, legs strapped down, timer set for every 10 minutes to buzz and wake me up. It worked for a while, 3 nights of half sleep, broken cycles, shallow rest. But I could feel him growing. Impatient, I'd see my face in dark screens, and the reflection would frown. When I smiled, I'd hear footsteps echo mine, even in empty rooms. And once I heard the door open, even though I never unlocked it, I checked the footage again and again. No one ever appeared, just the door swinging open for 20 seconds, then shutting itself. On the 4th night, I couldn't take it anymore. The buzzer rang, and I didn't wake up. Not fast enough. My eyes stayed closed for maybe a minute, but it was long enough. I opened them in the hallway door, wide open chair, empty phone on the floor, vibrating new calendar. Alert transfer complete. I ran back into the apartment, searched every room, but I already knew I wasn't alone anymore. I heard footsteps behind me, turned too slow, and saw myself just standing there, head tilted, hand raised like he'd been waiting for me to see him. Face clean, perfect eyes, dull skin, too tight. The version of me that didn't blink, didn't breathe, didn't doubt. And when I tried to move, I couldn't, because he'd stepped in just enough, just far enough, and my body didn't belong to me anymore. I woke up on the floor, sun leaking through the window, warm against my face, my eyes dry, my tongue thick. The clock said 8:27 a.m., a full hour past my alarm. I sat up slowly, my body sore like I'd been carrying weight in my sleep. My hands were steady, no shaking, no sweat, no pain. I stood without thinking, no resistance, no hesitation. My head didn't feel foggy anymore. Everything was clear, sharp, and cold. I walked to the mirror and looked at myself, waiting for something to flicker, something to be out of sync, but the reflection was perfect, too perfect, the kind of perfect that doesn't belong to someone who's lived through months of no sleep and paranoia and silence. I smiled the mirror, smiled back in time and rhythm, no delay, no twitch. I checked my phone, no alerts, no new emails, no calendar entries, no drafts, The app didn't crash when I opened it. My contacts were all in place. The camera worked, and when I took a photo, it saved without corruption. I looked normal. My eyes focused, my mouth relaxed. I had slept and my body didn't feel like mine anymore. But it worked. It worked better than it had in months. I checked my emails, scrolled through old messages. Every one from the other version was gone. Wiped even the sent folder empty, like they were never real, like I had made the whole thing up. Except for one file on my desktop, untitled with no extension. I opened it. It was text, just 2 words, "Thank you." I stared at it for a long time, then closed the laptop. I went outside, stood in the light, felt the sun hit my arms. It didn't burn, it didn't feel wrong, it just felt like sun. But something still pressed at the back of my skull, a slow pull, like memory half lost. I walked past the bakery. The smell was stronger than usual. I turned the corner and passed a window, caught my reflection again. Something flickered just a little, barely visible. A lag in the way I blinked, not enough to call wrong. Just enough to feel watched. I got to the office and sat down at my desk. Logged in, no errors, no warnings. My boss passed by, said, "Welcome back." I smiled, she smiled, back. Nothing wrong, nothing strange. But when she turned the corner, I heard her pause, just a second. Then her voice, soft, like a question. Not meant for anyone. Did he always smile like that? I've stopped checking the clock. Now I let the hour pass. Without watching, I let the body move. Without resisting, I sleep and I wake and I work and I eat, and everything functions better than it used to. And sometimes I forget that I ever thought at all. That there was a version of me who refused to give up the wheel, and other times I stand in front of the mirror just before bed and ask it quietly, "Which one are you?" It never answers. And maybe it doesn't matter, because he walks smoother, he breathes quieter, and no one can tell the difference, not even me.